Have you ever thought the people you love most could build a secret wall right in front of you? I'm Anna Harper, 50 years old, a mother, a wife, living in suburban Denver, Colorado. For 25 years, I poured my heart into building a family. But at our silver anniversary celebration, a moment meant for joy turned to pain when my cousin Sarah publicly humiliated me, and a text on my husband's phone revealed a secret that shook everything I believed in.
Subscribe to the channel and comment where you're watching from, because this story is about to take you on an emotional journey you won't soon forget.
My life unfolds in a 2-story home surrounded by maples that blaze red each fall. It revolves around my husband David, 52, a manager at a construction firm. My eldest Ethan, 22, a recent college grad working part-time, and my youngest Lily, 19, a college freshman. I've always been the backbone cooking dinners, planning family meetings though. Lately, I've felt a distance. Ethan's always out with friends, Lily's often snappy, and David comes home late blaming work stress. I told myself it was a phase, but part of me feared something deeper. Our 25th anniversary party was held at a fancy downtown Denver restaurant. I'd planned for months a menu of roasted beef and chocolate mousse, an acoustic band for a warm vibe. I wanted the night to bridge our gaps, especially with the cracks showing Ethan quiet, Lily argumentative, David distant, always checking his phone with a tense look. I hoped the party would mend us. The highlight was a waltz I'd secretly practiced with a coach at the community center. I chose a sparkling emerald dress, picturing David twirling me under loving gazes. The dance wasn't just for him, it was my way of proving I was still the family's center, still strong after years of sacrifice. On the day I stood before the mirror, adjusting my hair, heart pounding with nerves. The restaurant glowed with golden lights, the scent of roses from centerpieces filling the air. Guests, friends, colleagues, my family, and David's gathered. Ethan lingered in a corner scrolling his phone. Lily giggled with friends. David shook hands, his smile easing me. My friend Karen, a nurse, patted my shoulder. "Anna, you're radiant." It felt perfect. But as the band played and I stepped toward the dance floor, Sarah, my 55-year-old cousin, stood. Always sharp and competitive since childhood, though I never fought back. She grabbed the mic, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "We're here to honor David and his journey. But Anna, this dance, isn't it a bit much? Are you sure you belong in the spotlight?" A few chuckled. Karen and others frowned. I froze, the floor dropping away. Why would Sarah do this? We'd been close once, but she'd grown cold, especially after David's promotion while her husband struggled. I stepped forward, took David's hand, forced a smile. The waltz began, but it wasn't my dream. David's grip was limp, his eyes distant. Ethan looked down. Lily whispered to friends, some guests avoided me. When it ended, sparse applause came mostly from Karen and Laura, my therapist friend. Sarah clapped slowly, smirking. I returned to my table, hands shaking as I held my wine, trying to grasp what happened. Ethan and Lily left early, citing plans. David chatted with colleagues, ignoring me. That night at home, I saw David's phone on the kitchen counter. A text flashed from an unsaved number. "You okay tonight? Don't worry about her." My heart sank. Who was her? I snapped a photo, emailed it to myself, hands trembling. I wanted to ask David, but he'd gone upstairs, door shut. In the dim kitchen, I realized the party wasn't just a failure, it was the start of a bigger secret, and I had to uncover the truth. The night after our 25th anniversary, I sat in the kitchen, dim light casting shadows on the granite counter. The text on David's phone. "You okay tonight? Don't worry about her," stabbed my heart. Sarah's jab at the restaurant, "Anna, are you sure you belong in the spotlight?" echoed alongside Ethan and Lily's distant looks. Our suburban Denver home, once alive with laughter, felt like a cage of secrets I couldn't grasp. I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, but doubt gnawed, keeping me awake. Days later, I tried to keep things normal, but each act felt shrouded in fog. I made breakfast toast with strawberry jam, Ethan's old favorite, but he muttered, "Mom, I'm not hungry," and rushed off claiming a friend meetup. Lily was worse. She sat at the table, eyes glued to her phone, then snapped Mom last night. "Can you not do stuff like dancing again? People thought it was weird." I asked, "Weird how, honey?" She shrugged, walked away, leaving me with cold toast. David drifted like a ghost out early, back late, citing new projects. I searched his face for the husband I loved for 25 years, but saw a stranger, eyes averted. I noticed small things. David took late-night calls, whispering in the backyard, voice too low to hear. Once he left his phone on the counter. I hesitated, heart racing, but doubt won. I unlocked it, password, still our anniversary, a bittersweet relief. In messages, I found chats with Jess, "Thanks for being there yesterday. Meet at the usual spot, Sunday." My blood ran cold. No clear proof of an affair, but the intimacy chilled me. I snapped photos, emailed them to myself, then dropped a coffee spoon, its clatter loud in the silent kitchen. I didn't confront David yet. I feared the truth, feared breaking what little family remained. Instead, I called Karen, my nurse friend, at a Denver clinic. Over coffee near Cherry Creek Park, I spilled about the texts and Sarah's words. Karen frowned, held my hand. "Anna, listen, David might be stressed, but those texts aren't normal. Talk to him straight. I'll help if you need." She suggested a journal to stay sane. I nodded, but dread weighed me down. Karen was my rock, but I wasn't ready for the truth. A week passed, drowned in silent pain. I lay awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering what I'd done wrong. I scoured memories for missed signs. David once complained I was too busy with family, but I thought that was love. Ethan and Lily pulled away, but I blamed growing up. Now I wasn't sure. One afternoon, I found a credit card bill on David's desk, $200 for a dinner at a suburban restaurant we'd never visited. I Googled it, a romantic French bistro, not for colleagues. I photographed it, added it to my secret computer folder. I followed David. One night, he claimed a late meeting. I drove to his office 5 miles away, his car wasn't there. Trembling, I headed to the French bistro. Through the window, I saw David with a woman, mid-30s, blonde, in a blue dress. They laughed, his hand brushing hers. I didn't know if she was Jess, but my heart said yes. I didn't go in avoiding a scene. I drove home, tears falling, my world crumbling. That night, I faced David. He watched TV, calm as ever. I stood, voice shaky but firm. "David, are you cheating? I saw you at the restaurant with her." He flinched, then forced a laugh. "Anna, what? That's Jessica, my new assistant. We discussed a project." I cited the text, the bill. He frowned, voice rising. "You snooped, unbelievable. Jess is a colleague and you're overreacting." He patted my shoulder like I was a child, then went upstairs. His eyes cold, defensive, screamed. He hid more. The pain didn't stop at David. One afternoon, Ethan sat on the couch, hands clasped. "Mom, we need to talk. Lily and I see you're stressed lately. Maybe take a break, like a mountain retreat to relax." I was stunned. A break. "This is my home, Ethan." He sighed, looked away. "Mom, Dad says you need space to sort things out. We just worry." "Sort what?" I asked, but he shook his head, left. I called Lily, hoping for better, but she snapped over the phone. "Mom, don't make this hard on Dad. He's tired, and you're messing things up." She hung up, leaving me erased. Doubt led to a bigger find. In David's study papers, I uncovered a letter from St. Joseph's Hospital, 3 months old. David Harper suspected early-stage lung cancer, biopsy needed. I called Karen, voice shaking. She confirmed through a colleague David had tests, delayed the biopsy, saying he needed time. Karen added, a woman, Jessica Miller, came with him claiming to be a close friend. My heart sank. David hid not just an affair, he hid illness, and Jess knew not me. I dug more, found David's notebook. Inside, told Jess about tests. Don't want Anna worrying, she'll make it big. Another Ethan Lily get me. They'll keep quiet. I reeled. My kids knew but sided with him and Jess. The worst, if it gets bad, Jess will handle things. Anna doesn't need to know. Handle things. Who was Jess to replace me in my family? I called Laura, my therapist friend, spilling everything. Laura listened, voice soft. Anna, they're controlling the narrative, but you're not a victim. Dig deeper, but care for yourself first. She urged me to meet David's doctor, journal everything. I started writing text bills, David's illness, Ethan and Lily's words. I texted Karen for a doctor meeting. I also contacted Michael, a lawyer. Karen suggested about my rights if David hid a serious illness. One night, I overheard Ethan on the phone in the living room, thinking I was asleep. Dad says Mom needs time alone. Jess can help Dad more. I stood behind the door, fists clenched. They didn't just hide the illness, they wanted me gone, Jess in. I went to my room, opened my laptop, saved everything, text photos, bills, notes. I wasn't Anna the pushover anymore. I'd find the truth not to save the family, but to save myself. Weeks after uncovering David's secret, I lived in a haze each day, a battle to stay upright. His notebook, don't want Anna worrying, she'll make it big, and Ethan's overheard words, Jess can help Dad, more cut like relentless knives. Ethan and Lily, the kids I cradled nightly, saw me as a stranger. David, my husband of 25 years, hid not just lung cancer, but leaned on Jess, a woman I'd never met. I couldn't let them erase me from my own life. I had to act each step like walking on broken glass. I started with Karen, my nurse friend, my anchor. Over the phone, I begged her to arrange a meeting with David's doctor at St. Joseph's. I'll try through a colleague, Karen said, voice steady. But Anna, brace yourself. If David hid this, there might be more. Her words warned me, but I nodded inwardly. I didn't want more secrets, but I was done being naive. While waiting, I tried reaching Ethan and Lily, hoping to win them back. One morning, I caught Ethan in the living room as he grabbed stuff. Ethan, I know Dad's sick, I said, soft but firm. Why didn't you tell me I'm your mom? I deserve to know. He stiffened, gripping his bag. Mom, Dad said. He didn't want you worried. He said you'd complicate things. His voice shook. I just want Dad okay. I asked about Jess. He shook his head. She's Dad's friend. Mom stopped digging. Okay, he left, leaving me slapped. Lily was tougher. I texted, invited her to dinner, but she replied, Mom, I'm swamped with exams. Later, okay, I pushed. Called Lily. I know Dad's hiding something big. Can you be honest? Over the phone, she sighed. Mom, Dad said you'd stress him more. Jess. She calms him. Don't make me pick sides. She hung up, and I sat gripping the phone, my daughter a stranger. But her voice held a waver, like she wasn't fully sold. Laura, my therapist friend, was light in the dark. We met at a cafe by the South Platte River. I poured out everything, Jess's texts, David's cancer, my kid's silence. Laura held my hand, eyes serious. Anna, they're controlling the story, but you can take it back. Start with facts, see the doctor, know your rights. But don't forget yourself. You can't fight if you're drained. She gave me a notebook, urging me to write feelings to stay afloat. I began Ethan's averted eyes, fear of David's illness, anger at Jess in his life. Per Laura, I organized evidence. I printed text photos, the dinner bill, David's notes, stored them in a locked computer folder. I recorded a brief talk with Lily when she grabbed books. Mom, Dad needs Jess, 'cause she doesn't judge, she snapped. You keep asking, it's tiring. I saved it, feeling guilty, yet necessary. These pieces were weapons, reminders my family was broken. Finally, Karen called. She'd set a Wednesday meeting with Dr. Patel, David's doctor. I arrived early, bringing the test results I'd found. Dr. Patel, a middle-aged man with a calm voice, confirmed David's suspected early-stage lung cancer biopsy due in 2 weeks. He hesitated, he said, but we convinced him to test. A woman, Jessica Miller, came along, said she's a close friend. She asked for updates. I asked if Jess had medical power. He shook his head. No, only Mr. Harper decides. But Ms. Miller is involved. I left with legal copies of records, my right as his wife, but my heart sank. Jess wasn't just a friend, she was taking my place in key moments. Driving home, I stopped by Washington Park, watching the river glitter. I called Karen, shared the meeting. Anna, I've seen this, she said. Illness makes people lean on others, but David's unfair. See a lawyer? She sent Michael's number, a marriage law expert. I texted Michael, asking about my rights if David hid illness and involved another. But secrets grew. One night, I checked David's old work email using a password he'd shared. In the trash, an insurance company email mentioned a beneficiary change in David's health policy. I called, posed as his wife, and learned David added Jess as emergency contact, not beneficiary, but still cut me out. Not a medical decision, but a dagger. He wanted Jess called if he collapsed, not me. This was my breaking point. In the study, Laura's notebook open, I wrote, I gave them everything, love time, my dreams. Now they want me gone. Tears fell, but anger rose. I couldn't let David, Jess, or my kids erase me. I called Michael, voice steadier than I felt. I want to know how to protect myself. David hid illness, brought in another, and my kids knew. Michael agreed to meet, saying, we can look at marital rights assets. Bring all evidence. I joined a support group Karen suggested at the Denver Community Center. First night, I sat quiet, hearing women share betrayal loss. Susan, 50, spoke of her husband hiding assets for divorce. I learned to stand, she said, by finding people who saw my worth. Her words hit me. After Susan invited me for coffee and I felt heard, I told of David, Jess, my kids. You're not alone, she said. Step by step, you'll reclaim you. Tension peaked one night when I heard David in the backyard on the phone. Jess, stay calm, he said. Anna will be fine. I just need time for her to get it. She needs space. Get it, space. He wanted me out, him and Jess free. I went to my room, heart pounding. I opened my laptop, emailed Michael, attaching evidence, texts, bills, medical records, Lily's recording. I'm ready, I wrote. Help me guard what's mine. I looked out, maples glowing red under moonlight. I wasn't the Anna of the anniversary believing a dance could save us. I was Anna fighting with Karen, Laura, Susan, and Michael by me. David, Jess, and my kids might think me weak, but they were wrong. I'd face them not to hold them, but to reclaim myself. Hearing David whisper to Jess on the phone, Anna will be fine. I just need time for her to get it, was the final straw. 3 months after the shattered anniversary, I'd gathered enough intimate texts, a restaurant bill, medical records of David's suspected lung cancer, his notebook saying I'd make it big. Ethan and Lily, my kids, knew his illness, but urged me to rest, so David had space. Jess, the woman I saw with him, wasn't just a friend, she was trusted more than me. I couldn't let them erase me. That night, in the study laptop light on my evidence folder, I knew it was time to confront. I met Michael Thompson, Karen's lawyer, at his downtown Denver office on Tuesday. Michael, about 50, graying hair, reviewed texts, bills, records, and Lily's recording, Dad needs Jess, 'cause she doesn't judge. Anna, he said, David hiding illness and changing the emergency contact isn't illegal, but it shows intent to exclude you. We can file for court oversight of joint assets and medical decisions based on his lack of transparency. He suggested a temporary protection order to stop David from altering big assets' house accounts without me. It'll pressure him, Michael said. I signed, voice shaky. Do it. I need to protect what's mine. But law was only part. I needed David, Ethan, and Lily to face what they'd done. I planned a talk at home for Friday night when all would be there. I texted David 7 p.m., Friday family talk. Important. He replied curtly, okay. I texted Ethan and Lily demanding they come, no excuses. Lily wrote, Mom, I'm super busy, but I shot back. Not a request. Ethan didn't reply, but I knew he'd show if David said so. Friday I prepared like for battle. I printed Tech's medical records. David's notes, set them in a folder on the dining table. Laura came early, sat in the living room for support. You're stronger than you know, she said, squeezing my hand. Karen texted, be direct, Anna. You deserve truth. I wore a blue blouse and slacks, simple but serious, like entering my own trial. Inside I shook, but told myself time to end the silence. At 7, David walked in, shirt rumpled, face tired. Ethan followed, leaning on the wall, eyes down. Lily sat on the couch, arms crossed, annoyed. I stood by the table, hands on the folder, took a breath. I know everything, I began, voice firm but trembling. David, you hid lung cancer from me. You told Jess, Ethan, Lily, but not me, your wife. You made Jess your emergency contact, cut me out. Ethan, Lily. You knew Dad's sick, knew about Jess, but stayed quiet, even wanted me gone so she'd be closer. David cut in sharp. Anna, you're blowing this up. Jess is a friend, helps when I'm stressed. My illness is private, I didn't want you worried. I opened the folder, slid text copies to him. A friend. Thanks for being there yesterday. Meet at the usual spot Sunday. This is a friend. David paled, shook his head. Just words. You're misreading. I laid out medical records and cancer. You delayed a biopsy, told Jess, but I, your wife, am last to know. I saw you with her at the restaurant, David. Stop lying. Ethan spoke, voice shaky. Mom, we didn't want you hurt. Dad said you'd make it big, and he needed calm. I turned, played Lily's recording. Dad needs Jess, 'cause she doesn't judge. You keep asking, it's tiring. Lily jumped up, face red. You recorded me? That's low, Mom. She yelled, tears streaming, but I stayed calm. Lily, I'm not low. I'm your mom, but you chose Dad and Jess over telling me truth. I raised you, loved you, and you left me out. David stood, pointing. Anna, enough, I'm sick, I choose who's near me. Jess gets me, you just control. His voice cracked, but I saw no regret, anger at being exposed. I pulled the court oversight filing from Michael. David, I've filed for court to watch our assets and your medical decisions. I'm requesting a protection order so you can't sell the house or move money without me. You want freedom? Fine, but not by erasing me. The room stilled. Ethan bowed his head, mumbled, Mom. I'm sorry. I just wanted Dad well. His voice was small, like the boy who cried over a broken vase. Lily sobbed, ran to the door, yelled, You don't care if Dad lives or dies. David clenched fists, face red. Anna, you want war. Go ahead, don't blame me. He stormed out. Ethan hesitated, then followed. The door slammed, the sound tearing my heart. Laura hugged me, whispered, You did it, Anna. But I felt no win. I sank into a chair, tears spilling. I'd faced them, guarded my rights, but my family, David, Ethan, Lily, shattered. I cried not for David, but for the years I believed we were one. Laura stayed, made tea, let me vent. You're not alone, she said. You have Karen, Susan, me. You'll get through. I texted Michael, voice choked. They know. Keep going, he replied. Filing's in. We wait for David's move. Karen called, soothed Anna. You're stronger than you know. Rest will carry on. I went to my room, opened Laura's notebook, wrote I lost them, but found me. Outside, streetlights lit the maples, red leaves falling. I shut the curtains, closing a painful chapter. David might fight Ethan, and Lily might rage, but I wouldn't run. I'd stood, and they'd take nothing more. The confrontation with David, Ethan, and Lily left me like a house after a storm, standing, but cracked. The door slam, David's you want, war go ahead, And Lily's cry, "You don't care if Dad lives or dies," echoed. I'd exposed David's secret suspected lung cancer closeness with Jess, cutting me from medical decisions, and my kids' complicity. But victory wasn't sweet. I collapsed in a chair, crying in Laura's arms, feeling 25 years of family turn to ash. I'd seized control, but at the cost of a gaping void. The next day, Michael, my lawyer, emailed. The Denver court filing for oversight of joint assets and David's medical decisions was submitted. A temporary protection order blocking David from changing Big Asset's house accounts without me awaited approval. "Anna, we have the edge," Michael wrote, "but David may fight. Brace for a long battle." I replied, urging him on sending Lily's recording and David's texts with Jess to bolster the case. Each typed word pulled me deeper into a fight I didn't want. David didn't wait. Saturday, he emailed pleading and threatening Anna. "You're destroying what's left. I messed up not telling you about the illness, but Jess is just a friend helping me through fear. Drop the suit, we can talk. If not, I'll defend myself." Defend himself. He'd pushed me out, made Jess emergency contact, asked our kids to hide it. I forwarded it to Michael, didn't reply. I hated war, but couldn't let him manipulate. Ethan broke the silence first. Sunday he came, stood at the door, hands in pockets. "Mom, can I come in?" I nodded, heart racing. He sat on the couch, eyes red. "Mom, I'm sorry I hid Dad's thing. I was scared of losing him, and he said you'd make it worse. I was wrong." His voice broke, and I saw the boy who hugged me after lost games. But I couldn't forget his silence. "Ethan, I get you worried for Dad," I said, voice shaky. "But you left me out like I don't matter. I need time." He nodded, eyes wet. "I'll try, Mom. I don't want to lose you." He left, leaving a flicker of hope and pain unhealed. Lily was different. No calls, no texts. Instead, a social media post, vague but sharp. "Some people destroy instead of help." Friends commented, "You're so strong. Lily, each a jab to my heart." I screenshotted it, sent it to Michael, but held back. Laura on the phone soothed Lily's angry Anna. "She's 19, caught between parents. Don't let her words shake you." I nodded, but my daughter's rejection stung deep. Amid tension, the Denver Community Center support group became my rock. I met Susan, who'd survived betrayal, and Diane, 55, estranged from her son post-divorce. One night, I shared the confrontation. I stood up, I said, voice thick, "But I feel empty. Who am I without family?" Susan held my hand. "Anna, you're a strong woman finding herself. Family isn't all." Her words struck. After Diane joined Susan for dinner with me, and their laughter small healed. But a new find shocked me. Michael called Wednesday saying he'd checked my and David's accounts. A $2,000 charge from David's personal account, not joint, for a restaurant and hotel in Aspen 2 months ago, he said. Billed to Jessica Miller. I froze. David didn't just take Jess to appointments he spent on getaways claiming work. Michael said, not direct financial abuse since it's his money, but it backs his lack of transparency. We can use it for tighter oversight. I agreed, anger rising. I wrote David a letter, not to fight, but to set lines. "David," I typed, "I know about Jess, your illness, the trips. I don't want to ruin you, but I'll protect me. Be honest or the court decides." I emailed it, copied Michael. David didn't reply fast, but Friday he called. "Anna, what do you want?" he yelled, voice shaky. "I'm sick. I need peace. Jess helps you stress me." I replied, calm. "David, you chose Jess. I want truth." He hung up, but Michael said David's lawyer offered a deal to avoid court. "They're worried," Michael said. "We're ahead. I built a new life, step by step." Susan urged me to join a community center art class, a love I'd dropped for family. Clumsy brushstrokes on landscapes made me feel alive. One day, I painted a red maple, recalled fall, with Ethan and Lily, and cried. but I kept it holding pain to move on. I started a blog, Step by Step Rising, about surviving hurt. My first post on the anniversary got 10 views, but each comment, "Thanks, I'm struggling too," lit my way. One night, Karen hosted me, Susan, and Diane for dinner. We laughed, shared stories, and for the first time in months, I belonged. Karen raised her glass. To Anna, unbowed by the past. I smiled, clinked, but knew the road wasn't done. Ethan texted later. "Mom, I want to meet. I messed up." I didn't reply. I needed time. Lily stayed quiet, but Karen saw her at school looking sad. "She'll come back," Karen said. I hoped, but didn't wait. A final find clarified David's motives. Michael sent an insurance email buried in records, a note from David asking to add Jess as contact since my wife isn't suited now. Written 3 months ago, as he delayed his biopsy. He didn't just hide illness, he planned me out betting on Jess. I sent it to Michael. "This shows intent," he said. "The court will weigh it." I sat in the living room eyeing a family photo, Grand Lake vacation, Ethan and Lily's smiles. I didn't take it down. It wasn't everything anymore. I called Laura, shared the email. "You're finding you," she said. "No matter what David or the kids do, you stand." I nodded, eyes stinging. The fight wasn't over. David might push Lily, might rage, but I had Karen, Susan, Diane, Michael, Laura. I wrote in the notebook, "I don't need them to know my worth." Outside, snow fell, blanketing Maples white. I shut the curtains, ready for what's next. Winter in Denver draped snow over the maples outside, but in me, a quiet spring bloomed. 6 months after the confrontation with David, Ethan, and Lily, scars remained. But I'd awakened a new Anna, one who didn't need family's nod to know her worth. Jess's texts. David's hidden lung cancer, my kids' silence, the $2,000 spent on her in Aspen. Once knives, now I painted over wounds, crafting a new self. The suit with David ended quieter than expected. Michael, my lawyer, said the Denver court approved oversight of joint assets, barring David from selling the house or moving big money without me. The $2,000 for Jess wasn't abuse, being personal funds, but it proved his opacity. David, via his lawyer, didn't fight, maybe due to fading health. Karen at the hospital said he'd started lung cancer treatment after a biopsy confirmed stage 1. Jess stayed with him, but I no longer hurt. He chose his path. I chose mine. Ethan broke our wall first. One February afternoon, he came bringing my favorite cookies. "Mom, I was wrong to hide Dad's stuff," he said, eyes red. "I feared losing him, didn't see how it hurt you. I want to fix this." I hugged him, tears falling, but said, "Ethan, trust takes time. Let's start slow." He nodded, and weekly dinners followed him, sharing work life. We weren't back, but each tale rebuilt a brick. Lily stayed distant, but signs shifted. One night, she texted Mom, "Sorry for that post. I was mad, don't hate you." I replied, "I'm here when you're ready." Karen said Lily saw a school counselor, wrestling guilt. I didn't push, left the door open. She's my daughter. I believed she'd return when ready. I let go of the memory-filled house. With Michael's help, David and I split assets. I took joint account funds and sold the house, buying a small apartment near Cherry Creek Park. 1 bedroom, but big windows welcomed sun, and I hung my art class paintings, maples, river strokes of my story. Mornings, I walked the South Platte, breathing crisp air, feeling free. The community center support group became a second family. Susan and Diane met, there were my rocks. One night, Susan hosted me to speak to a small crowd. I thought family was all I said, but I learned I'm enough alone. Nods, tears from listeners showed my strength. Diane urged me to grow my blog, Step by Step Rising. From 10 views, it hit 200 followers in 3 months. A bolder woman commented, "Your story gave me courage to leave a toxic marriage." Each word carried me from the past. But it wasn't all wins. At art class, a teacher critiqued my painting strokes lacked confidence, and I came home, cried. I thought of David, Lily, wondered if I was strong. Laura on the phone said, Anna, setbacks are healing. You don't need perfection. I hung the painting, a reminder I was learning growing. One afternoon, I sat on my balcony sipping coffee, watching snow melt in the park. I opened my laptop, wrote a new post, learning to love me again. Pain doesn't define you, I typed. It's a chapter, not the book. At 50, I start anew, and you can too. It got 50 comments, strangers sharing their paths. I wasn't just writing for me, for others seeking light. I recalled the anniversary, Sarah's jab, Jess's text, shattering my world. I was the wife, mom, putting family first, but now I'm Anna, painting, blogging, walking by the river, laughing with new friends. Pain lingered, a faint scar, but it didn't rule me. David could live with Jess, Ethan, and Lily needed time, but I didn't need them to know my value. I stood, stepped to the balcony, breathed cold air. Snow stopped, sun peeked through. I watched the river glinting like tomorrow's promise. I went inside, opened a new canvas, brushed a shaky first stroke, but kept going. This was my painting, my life, and I'd shape it my way. At 50, I didn't just survive, I lived my greatest win. Sitting by Cherry Creek, watching sunlight dance on the water, I see every wound as a chance to grow. I'm Anna Harper, and at 50 I've climbed from the dark of betrayal, Sarah's jab, David's hidden illness, Ethan and Lily's distance. I thought losing family was losing all, but I found me through brushstrokes, blog lines, and bonds with Karen, Susan, Diane. Now I want your story. Have you been hurt by loved ones? What lifted you, even a small step? Share in the comments your pain, hope, or moment of light. Your voice matters, and this community lifts each other. Subscribe, join, and write your next chapter with me. Snow may fall in Denver, but the sun always rises. Are you ready for your dawn? Tell me, and we'll shine together.